Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Wheeler, and this is the IAC Acoustics Continuline Barrier Walls webinar. I am the Commercial Industrial Sales Manager here at IAC, and I have my contact information right here on the screen. We'll go ahead and get started. So today, this webinar, we'll be talking about a few different things. This is a Continuline specific webinar, but being that Continuline is part of the barrier wall product line, we'll be talking about some of the characteristics of the barrier walls that we manufacture, and we'll be talking about some IAC Acoustics company background, some of our product features, some performances. We'll get into a few details specifically about the Continuline product line, and we'll talk a little bit more about some applications. We have some pictures and lessons learned. There is an opportunity for questions and answers. If you have a question, you can either type it into the question portion on the little box. I will do my best to keep my eye on that. If there's something I can answer right away, I will. If in the event I happen to miss anything, these webinars are recorded, and I go back to look at to review the webinar and to look at the attendees, and there's a space in there that records the questions, and in the event that I miss one, I can address it and then get an answer to you. So feel free to type in questions at any time. IAC Acoustics was founded in 1949 by a man named Martin Hirshhorn. Mr. Hirshhorn started on Jackson Avenue in the Bronx, and he worked his way up to Commerce Ave, where he built his acoustic laboratory. He sold the business in 1998, but he remained the CEO until 2001. Today, IAC Acoustics belongs to Catalyst Acoustics Group, which is the parent company to several sound control companies. The director of IAC Acoustics is Thomas Hines. He's got over 20 years of experience in this industry. He started out as, he's got a construction background. He's installed our products, he's sold our products. He's a vast wealth of knowledge and experience, and we're lucky to have him. As I mentioned, I am Ryan Wheeler. I'm the Commercial Industrial Sales Manager here at IAC. I am relatively new. I started last year, August 24th of 2020. So I've been here just over a year. I spent 14 years in the military prior to joining IAC, and then I was also working as working for a private defense contractor as a site lead and operations manager for an intelligence collection team in Afghanistan for just under 10 years before coming on board here. Ted Marquis, he's our industrial sales manager. He's got over 20 years of experience. Darren Riley, he's our HVAC product sales manager with over 15 years of industry experience. Andrew Pulte, he's our NVH and testing facility sales manager. NVH is noise and vibration. And then Kalina Winters, our power sports and dyno sales manager. So IAC Acoustics, the barrier wall systems that we provide, they shield people from loud equipment and transportation systems, basically by forming a screen that blocks and absorbs sound energy. The noise source can be electrical equipment such as transformers, HVAC equipment, whether it's rooftop or ground mounted, transportation systems or highways, railways, airports, things of that nature. On the screen here, you'll see a ground mounted barrier wall surrounding some mechanical equipment. In the middle, there's a rooftop barrier wall. And then on the right, you see one in a residential area blocking some sound from a roadway. This is a very, very basic depiction of how our barrier wall works. This is not intended to insult anyone's intelligence. The car on the left is the source of the noise, and the house is the receiver. Our screens protect the receivers by blocking the direct sound of the direct sound path, basically. A couple things to consider would be for our barrier walls would be the height and or the proximity to the source or the receiver. The taller the wall, the more effective, and or the closer to the source or the receiver is more effective. Basically, the sharper their angle means more attenuation in terms of blocking the sound. This slide shows our performances for transmission loss vary from an STC of 30 up to STC 33. That's sound transmission classification. And our NRC, which is the noise reduction coefficient, ranges from 1 to 1.05. A lot of people ask what makes IEC superior to the competition. There's a number of things really. First, we have a roll-formed panel construction. We do this for a few reasons, along with general efficiency and accuracy. The roll forming enhances the quality and prevents oil canning. So oil canning, if you don't know, is the appearance of some distortion when looking at the reflection of light off of the surface of the panel. In addition to the roll forming process, these panels are also button punched together. So basically, one of our standard panels, and we'll go through some of the panel construction here in a minute, but one of our 5-inch panels is basically 2 roll formed pieces, 2.5-inch thick roll formed pieces of sheet metal that are button punched together. So the button punching is what's important here. That is important because it means there are no welds. This is very important for the longevity of your application, regardless of how well you finish the steel after welding it. So we have galvanization on these panels, and if you weld them, no matter how well you finish the steel after welding, it's going to rust. So our button punching allows us to avoid the welding process. We also have a weather shedding design. This is we have pitched top surfaces, which prevents water from penetrating the panel. And even in the event that some water does make its way inside the panel, there's a perforated bottom that allows the water to drain through. Again, I have a few drawings in some later slides that'll show this a little bit more clear. We use a G90 steel, which is unique to IEC. We actually pre-paint the G90 after it's button punched, but before we put the fill inside of the panel. And this is important because it allows us to put paint on all surfaces prior to filling the panel. Other manufacturers might have a good panel design, but when they assemble the panel first and they put the fill inside, they paint the outside, but they don't touch the inside with any paint, which is missing a level of protection that we provide, and it introduces the possibility of rusting sooner. We also have a vast color selection. We can match any color. This of course could affect lead time and cost slightly, but we can match any colors to match specific colors on a job site or with an adjacent building. We can also provide any standard RAL colors. The double roll formed components provide really good structure, allowing us to go up to greater lengths with our panels. We can go up to 20 feet for a standard panel, provided the weather or structural components won't be a concern. So this is a list of some of the Noishield barrier panels, some of the variants, if you will. So you can see in this drawing they have an 18-inch and a 24-inch panel. So those are the standard sizes that we come in, that the panels come in. Again, they can go up to 20 feet long, but this is going to basically be the height of the panel, 18 or 24 inches. Along the top seam here, you can see where we button punch these 2 roll formed pieces together, so they get button punched along the top and along the bottom. And you can see also the pitched top surface, and then the perforated side. This is a solid side here. So we'll go down the list of the panels real quick. The Noishield FS panel, which FS basically stands for freestanding. This is our standard panel. It's 5 inches thick. The Continuline panel, which we will talk, and also for reference, the FS panel that I just referenced, that's basically this panel in this drawing here. That's what it looks like. The Continuline panel is essentially the same as an FS panel. It just has a custom end cap that wraps the structural element and conceals the column details. So that's also a 5-inch thick panel. Again, it has a custom end cap rather than the standard end caps that come with the Noishield FS. We also have a Noishield SFS, which is a 5-inch thick panel with a steel septum in the middle with absorption on both sides. So whereas this panel has perforated steel on one side and solid on the other, the SFS has a steel septum in the middle and it has perf on both sides. We also have a Noishield FST. This is a 5-inch thick panel with low frequency enhancement, and we get that by adding more mass to the inside of the panel. And the one panel that's not 5 inches thick is our slimline panel. It's essentially one roll formed piece with a flat back on the rather than another roll formed piece on the back. So it's half the width, 2.5 inches. This one is rather than being captured inside or wrapping the beam or the post, this one's going to be surface mounted. So this one can be screwed directly to the face of different whatever substrate you might have, whether it's tube steel or a wall even. So this allows us to accommodate a few different types of work environments. These panels are all available in steel and aluminum. Here is a bit of a better detail with the FS panels. So one thing to note is the margined perf on the absorption side. So you have a pitched upper portion here that allows it's a weather shedding design, allows water to run off the sides and off the top. And down here in this corner, this is also a piece of solid. This is not perforated. And this allows us to roll form without damaging the perforated steel. But you can see the bottom is perforated and allows any moisture that may get inside to drain out through the bottom. Again, these are 5 inches thick, 18 inches tall, or 24 inches tall. Now, when these get installed, they basically slide inside. Actually, I think the next slide has a detail. Let me just go to the next slide. Okay. So here you can see the structural elements, and these panels essentially, now we're only talking about the FS panels. These slide inside of the columns, and they are captured completely inside of the flanges of these W beams. And if I go back here, actually, just in this picture, so these panels are captured completely inside these flanges of these columns, and they just stack on top of each other. So these are freestanding panels. They stack on top of each other. Very easy to install. They drop down from above into the post within the pocket and captures the panel. So this is, I mean, this is a rooftop barrier. I believe this is in New York. This, I guess, is a giveaway. But so as nice as this looks, sometimes the customer wants something that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. They would prefer something that was more just the panel and less structural. So when that happens, we can go to the Continuline configuration. So this is what I was referring to before regarding the customized end cap. So the standard FS panel would be captured within the webbing of this post, and the Continuline has the end cap that wraps the outer flange and hides those structural elements. You'd add it if in a situation like this where you had a corner, there would be a corner piece of trim that would maintain the look on the corner, so the beam would not be exposed on the corner. Here's one of the first projects that we used the Continuline panel on. Customer had a building that required a barrier wall on top to conceal some HVAC equipment. They wanted something that would more closely match the exterior of their building. So we designed those Continuline end caps, which hid the structural elements and gave a much nicer look and more closely matched the exterior of their building. This is another job. This is newer. I visited this job site in New York City over the summer. You can see again the very neat appearance of the Continuline with the end caps with no exposed structural. So there is a steel detail that would be installed here. This was right at the end of the project, but there would be a steel detail that would come down this corner and basically hide this structural post as well. But here you have some louvers, some Continuline panels, can kind of mix and match some products, whatever the project requires. Here's another rooftop Continuline project. This is just an example of how we can incorporate doors or other lighting or other electrical components on the outside of the enclosure. This is a close-up image of the slotted end cap and how it wraps the structural element, which allows the solid front face of the panel to conceal the column. So this is going to be the front, this is the back, this is the end cap. You can see it's riveted on, and it just slides down the column and makes a very nice outer appearance. This is what the inside would look like. Again, here you can see the column here, the end cap wrapping the column. This is just for a grounding wire, so this has nothing to do with attaching or installing these panels. This is all these do is slide down, wrap that outer flange, and then stack on top of each other. You can see how the button punch seam just stacks down and side by side with the one above it or below it. This is very common, rooftop barrier walls. This is a Continuline wall. When we go through the design phase, we have different requirements for penetrations. Most of the time, we can pre-cut these penetrations before they're powder coated, but oftentimes, not oftentimes, but occasionally we'll have instances where we'll have to make cuts in the field, which is also okay and fairly common. IAC scope on barrier wall projects has a wide range. We can supply just the panels and installation components like the mounting clips and rubber blocks. But we can also supply structural support and structural steel. We can supply the anchor bolts and cages. We can coordinate PE and get stamped and drawings and designs. And we can also provide turnkey installation and delivery. Basically, whatever your project requires, we can accommodate that. Sometimes we'll have people ask for everything. Sometimes it'll be panels only and anything in between. So that's usually part of the discussion when we're first talking about the project. And there's, we can provide it all if needed. Finally, just to recap some of the primary applications for our barrier wall noise control applications, whether they are ground mounted or rooftop mounted. Here we can see some HVAC equipment on a rooftop, but any type of machinery, transformers, pumps, valves, generators, we can conceal them. Again, there's a rooftop example here and a ground mounted barrier wall here. These are the standard FS. Again, we just looked at a bunch of Continuline. This is what the FS looks like with the exposed structural elements. Rooftop applications, HVAC's pretty common for the rooftop stuff. Oftentimes you're able to have open access as opposed to having doors, as seen in the top right. You might require some airflow, and rather than putting a door there, we can just keep a space open for the air to flow through. But a lot of times we'll need a door as well. We can provide standard APR doors that will match the sound performance of the panel. Here's some more examples of some ground-mounted applications. You have highways, railways, airports, and that's it. So I appreciate everybody joining today. If you do have any questions in the future, my name is Ryan Wheeler. My email address is rwheeler@iacacoustics.com, and my phone number is 413-537-1616. I can also email you a copy of the presentation, or again, answer any questions or talk about any projects that you might have. Thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.